Have you ever thought about the amount of time you spend on your phone? If you think about it, you will realize that a huge chunk of your time is spent daily looking at the screen of your phone. For a lot of people, their phone is the first thing they pick up when they wake up and the last thing they look at before falling asleep. I am sure you all have realized at times how big of a time waste your phone is. This is the single most difficult thing to overcome as a student. No matter where you are in your academic journey, your phone is the single biggest problem you need to overcome. Right from school kids to university professors, everyone is in the grips of the smartphone. If you are a student right now who wants to excel in your studies, you will have to fight your phone addiction. I know addiction is a strong word, but that is what it is. With that context, now I want to talk about literature students specifically. As literature students, we have to read. There is literally no substitute to this. And to be honest, I find hardly 2 to 3 students in a class who read regularly. Of course, everyone wants to do justice to their syllabus, but the moment they pick up a book to read, the mind wanders and they mostly end up picking their phones. And once you do that, there is no reading happening. If you are a student of literature, you should have one thing very clear in your mind. You have to read regularly, and you will be in a constant fight to get your reading done. The constant pings and notifications can drive anyone insane. I don't need to lecture you on the negative impacts our devices and hyperconnectivity can have on our well-being. But you know what? There are many more elements in our everyday lives that makes being an avid reader way harder than it should be. Our phones are just one key aspect of it. In this video, I am going to be honest with you on a few key reasons why reading is such a struggle these days. And I will also discuss what actually worked for me to overcome these hurdles. But first, before going into the video, hi, welcome to School of Literature. My name is Roshan and I'm a junior research fellow at the Department of English, Central University of Jharkhand. I was a gold medalist of my batch. With the formalities aside, let me tell you why I am in lecture mode today. I was thinking about my graduation days and remembered that I used to love it when my professors used to scold my classmates for not bringing physical copies of the texts being taught. I was such an old school reader, you could have always found me with a book even if I knew I would not get any time to read it. I loved books most in its physical form, and don't get me wrong, I still do, but the convenience of carrying ebooks has taken over me and I am now a thorough Kindle convert. Whether I am reading for myself or preparing for a class I need to take, you will usually find me with my e-reader these days. It might be totally unscientific, but I think reading from a Kindle is tricking my brain into thinking that I am just fiddling with my phone, but in a productive way. I want you to know that if you are struggling to read, I have been where you are now. And I think I can safely say that most of the days I don't give in. That's why I am here to help you out if you are struggling to read. I think the biggest reason why we are not able to read so much these days is quite clear. It is our short attention spans. We are constantly surrounded with quick dopamine hits. Instant scrolling, bite-sized videos, news headlines designed to shock readers are just a few examples. Being in front of the screen tires our eyes, and bite-sized dopamine hits makes us feel that we are doing something. To top that, we have so many other alternatives to consume stories other than books. Movies, TV shows, podcasts, short form content, the list goes on. No matter how long they are, it would still be easier than concentrating on books. It is a constant fight to resist these thrills in favor of a deep and focused reading. Don't get me wrong, I am not knocking down these mediums, only trying to make you aware that opening an actual book feels like more of an effort. We have become so conditioned for instant gratification that the delayed reward of reading can be avoided completely. Being a reader means actively fighting against these impulses, and let me tell you, it is not easy. But here's the thing, reading is absolutely worth those efforts. I could go on about the cognitive benefits, increased empathy and knowledge, but at its core, reading sparks our creativity and enriches our lives in ways that mindless media consumption simply cannot. So if you are struggling to read as much as you'd like, I feel you. Here are some tips that have helped me. First up, be ruthless about scheduling reading time and treating it like an unbreakable appointment, just like you would a work meeting or gym session. I have found tying it to an existing habit helps a lot. For example, I have made reading part of my daily routine before going to bed at night. I love my sleep as much as I love reading, so I go to bed a little early so that I can squeeze at least 15 minutes of reading time. This has become a habit for me that now if I don't read before bed, I think I can't fall asleep. Speaking of habits, we often pick our phones out of pure boredom and habit. So turning off app notifications can create space for you to pick up a book instead when you've got some free time. I also strongly feel that you need to be picky about what you are reading. If a book isn't clicking with you, don't be afraid to ditch it and try something else that grabs you right away. The more you read, the better you will get at choosing books you will actually love spending time with. If you do find yourself struggling to push through a book, pause and ask yourself, is your lack of focus because of a genuine lack of interest, or is it just you being impatient and giving in to the short attention span? Only you would be able to answer this question, so listen to yourself. It's okay to push past that initial resistance sometimes if the book is worthwhile. Finally, I'm a firm believer in reading just one book at a time. As interesting and productive multitasking can seem, juggling too much just leaves you feeling drained and unfulfilled. At least for me, I find I get so much more immersed and connected to the story when I'm devoting all of my reading energy to a single book. And that's why I highly recommend sticking to one book. But like I said, you should also see what works for you. So there you have it, my totally unsolicited advice on making reading feel less like a chore and more like the joy it's meant to be. Let me know your own tips and struggles in the comments. Needless to say, we are all in this together. I will see you super soon in the next video. Till then, keep reading and keep learning.